having someone around you where they know what you want to know or they have done what you want to do.
Every single week, in our team meetings, we'd talk about the culture. What we ended up building was a culture that people were really, really passionate about.
Welcome to this special MSP growth episode of Sunny Silver Linings. Sunny's guest today is one of the MSP channel's leading strategic coaches, Mr. Brian Hoppe. In this episode, Brian shares strategies to grow your MSP. Now, here's your host, the visionary founder and CEO of IT by Design and MSP Talent Authority, Mr. Sunny Kaila. Over to you, Sunny.
Hey, Brian, welcome to the show.
Absolutely. Hey, Sunny, great to be here, man. Really excited to talk with you today.
Yeah, time flies. You were here in New York City. We talked about this over dinner, and here we go.
Yeah, we had a great dinner too. That was fun.
Yeah, I would like to start with your journey, Brian. Can you please share the bigger picture entrepreneurial journey?
Yeah, absolutely, can do. So so I started in the industry, basically right out of college, early 2000s, and we were break fix back then, and I was working for somebody else for the first kind of half of my career, but kind of grew up in the industry, and when managed services kind of became a thing, we switched over from a break fix shop to 100% managed services, probably like 2005, 2006, that time frame. And so, a lot of lessons learned in there and all of that. But the short story is I left that company in 2015, and in 2016 bought my own MSP because I knew I wanted to build something for myself, but I also knew that I didn't want to grow it just from scratch. Right. So I kind of took the acquisition route, and then also in there. So as I was running that, kind of growing it, ended up selling that in late 2021. So that's kind of like the quick version of the journey was, kind of learned to run and scale and grow an MSP, and then kind of was able to, I had the great opportunity to do that myself, and it was a really great experience, and and learned a whole heck of a lot in the process.
Yes, that's the best way to learn and grow.
Yeah, so definitely the journey from tech to business leader, which a lot of MSP owners experience over time and kind of grow into.
That's awesome. Now, the question that I have is, what advice do you have for new MSP owners or those just starting out in the industry? And what do you wish you had known when you were starting your own business?
Wow, that's a big question, right? So yeah, we had all kinds of different clients, right? We didn't really have any concentration. We had dentists, we had manufacturing, we had legal, we had whatever, we had so many different kinds of clients. And what I realized during that journey was how much easier it might be to have some kind of vertical focus. When I was building my own MSP, was really figuring out, hey, what's our niche, and what industry can we really, really, really serve well. And that, I think, is it's a good lesson. It's difficult. It's not easy to really pick something and go with it, because you realize how much you might be giving up in the process. But then what it does is it does make for a much better value proposition for your key clients, and and for your niche. And then it also increases enterprise value when you have a focus like that, right? So that's one piece. I think another thing, as you're building your MSP, is to really be, even if you don't have an industry focus, is to really be selective about your clients. Because we have a tendency to just be like, anything for a buck, right? AFAB. Or like, hey, if the money's green, we'll do whatever. But really focusing in on who are your clients that are good, and really getting. I mean, honestly, it's like you can make so many strides with actually just getting rid of the clients that are not good. And most people, most MSP owners know there's some subset of your clients that are not profitable, that are a pain in the butt, that just suck up your time, and they're scared to let them go. It's a difficult transition to make, but when you really focus on only your clients that are like your ideal clients, you provide more value to them, you make your business more valuable, and you have a much more peaceful time running your MSP than you otherwise might. So that's those are a couple of things that stick out in my mind as kind of as you ask that question.
Yeah, no, thank you for sharing that. A lot of people struggle with being selective with the new accounts, means the ICP implementation, and also kind of really getting rid of clients that are not meeting their ICP, or they thought it's their ICP from 360 view, but when they start working with them, the alignment is not there and they struggle. Is there anything that you have, any thinking to share in terms of any strategies that worked for you?
That's a great question. So one thing that stands out is that most MSPs don't take the time to actually figure out if they're making money on a client, right? Like, and there's some metrics that you can look at and some numbers you can run, right, to say, okay, here's how much they're paying me. Here's what my hard costs are. Here's what my labor costs are that are going into this contract. You can easily tell who are the underperforming or worst performing clients, right? And so that's an exercise I think that is worth going through for every MSP, is sitting down and analyzing that for each and every one of your clients. How much do they pay me? What are my hard costs? What are the labor costs that go into it? How many hours am I spending on it, et cetera? Just taking that time to go through and do that is a really effective exercise, and the numbers don't lie, right? Or so you were kind of talking about like, hey, it's scary to do that, but if you take a data-based approach to it, it becomes very, very clear, and it's just a good sound business decision, as opposed to, oh my gosh, I'm scared of what's going to happen. If somebody told you, hey, I'll give you $2,500 if you give me 4,000. Guess what? You're not going to do that. Nobody's going to do that, right?
Yeah.
So that's what sticks out kind of when you ask that question, because it's and there's definitely a lot of other aspects to it, but that's what kind of came to the front of my mind there.
Yeah, no, 100% agree there that if you're losing month over month, basically you're donating that service. Yeah, even more than what you're kind of earning in revenues. So it's better. You will start making money as soon as you get rid of that agreement. Yeah. And my next question, Brian, is what are some of the most common mistakes you see MSPs make when it comes to growing their business? I mean, their overall struggles, their mistakes that you see that are common mistakes in the channel. What are those?
Yeah, so I'll start with, I mean, I think something I see often as MSP business owners, we are usually technicians by heart, right? And so if you're an MSP owner who's like sitting in the like 1 to 2 million revenue range, most guys that I talk to that are in that space they're spending a lot of time doing tech work. That is not usually the highest and best use for the owner at that point. And so that's why I see a lot of businesses stagnate around that $1 to $1 million mark, is because the owner is still so involved in the technical because they like it and it's easy and all that kind of stuff. But what it ends up doing is hampering the business growth and holding them back. And then a third is really, and these are basically all around the owner, is that they tend to spend most of their time in operations instead of actually growing the business. Right. So they're working in the business, they're working on ops and all of that kind of a thing. And if they spend most of their time, in the operation side of things, as opposed to out doing sales, I can tell them they're going to have a really hard time growing, right? So if you look at the owner's time, how they spend their time, if they're spending over 50% of their time actually out in the community, developing business and selling, then it's usually a pretty good indication. Yeah, this is going to be a growing, successful company over time versus the amount of time that they spend actually in the operations. So, so those are a few of those common mistakes that I usually see.
Yeah, that is so awesome. That's very valuable insights because the tech work leads to more tech work, and it's not very visionary. It's more like very operational stuff. And if you're going to spend majority of your time, then that new idea, new thinking, or the future company role is missing in the company. Overall, if you don't get out there and build relationships, new relationships, then the new business is not going to come. That normally comes from surrounding yourself with great people. And that normally requires time investment in relationships. You don't develop those relationships, that means you are becoming that glass ceiling for your business. And yeah, there's a lot of great advice there: vision, culture, and relationships. So a lot of people can benefit from that. Thank you, Brian. Now that leads to actually, everything requires like strategic coach. I'm part of strategic coach as well. US and strategic coach works really well together. So question that I have there is that what strategies have you found most effective for building a strong company culture and retaining top talent?
Ooh, oh, this is a good one. I love the company culture discussion because it's so important. And I think that I think it was Lencioni that was like, the really strong company culture is kind of like the last competitive advantage. So when I think about culture, one of the I use a tool, and I call it a culture guide. So most people do is they have a set of core values, and it's like, honesty and integrity and do the right thing and that kind of stuff. Um, but what you do with those core values, you actually take them and turn them into behaviors, right? So what does that mean? Like, what does integrity mean? Does that mean show up on time? Does that mean that we do what we say we're going to do? And building a culture guide, which is it's a document that says, hey, here's how we behave as a team. Here's our values in action. And it could be things like, like be on time. And what does that mean? It means that, if you're early, you're on time. If you're on time, you're late. If you're late, you're lost. That's kind of what one of our things that we had. It could be like deal direct. Like if we have a problem, we're going to go straight to the person that we have a problem with, and we're not going to talk about it behind their back. And really listing out, like, what does it mean to be a great team member here at this company? And what we did with our team was we built a culture guide that really talked about all of those things. Like, here's how we expect our team to behave with each other, with our clients, and how we work as a team, and what it means to be a great team member. And then we talked about it all the time, every single week. In our team meetings, we'd talk about the culture. And what we ended up building was a culture that people were really, really passionate about. And we had multiple team members that would, they'd get offered a job for 30% more, 50% more, and they'd be like, there's no way I'm leaving what I've got here, because this culture is just so strong inside the organization. And so, when you have a very strong culture with people that are committed, and people that are competent in their roles, I call that the 3 C's: culture, competence, and commitment, then you are going to retain that top talent. And it's actually going to draw people in, because your employees are going to be like, this is an awesome place to work, and want to bring along other people that they know. So that's probably my big thing around culture, is building the culture guide and talking about it all the time, and rewarding based on it, hiring based on it, and when necessary, you do also have to fire based on it, as well. So
Yeah, that is so good. So having your culture guide and then having your culture defined with that guide and a lot of focus on commitment and competence,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Competence. You mentioned one more thing there, Brian. I always heard from EOS, it's like on time.
If
Yeah.
you're on time, you're late. And if you're late, you're lost.
You're lost.
Yeah. Yeah, that was one of the things that we had, and I didn't make it up. I heard it somewhere at some point, but I was like, that really resonates.
Yeah. I love that. All right. Thank you so much. Anything that I have not asked you, but you think is really important for the channel to know?
Yeah, well, I'll just say this, but I kind of sum up my kind of a transformation in business to three things. And I recommend these three things for every MSP. So the first would be get in a peer group. Get in a group of other MSPs that can help you, guide you, and hold you accountable. The second one is implement some sort of business operating system. It can be EOS, it can be scaling up, it can be another flavor. It doesn't matter. But get something in place that's going to help you run the business at a very high level. And then the third thing is get yourself a coach. Every high performer in the world has one. Business leaders to golfers to to people who sing, they have a voice coach, right? So and every high performer has a coach. So get yourself a coach. So those are the three things that when thinking about growing an MSP. If you're missing one of those pieces, go find it and get yourself some help because everybody needs help. And so that's those would be kind of my parting words and what I recommend to every single MSP out there.
Yeah, no, it resonated so well with me because when you talk about peer group, when you talk about having a coach, it's basically lifelong learning, being open to know what you don't know. And then, having someone around you where they know what you want to know or they have done what you want to do.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
And then having a system where your business runs with a system, not muscle and feel that our friend Brad will talk about.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Brian, for coming to my show. I truly appreciate you and I wish you all the best.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for having me. It's a great conversation.
Thank you for watching Sunny's Silver Linings. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. See you next time.